Hey, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. My name is Salvador Briggman. On this show, we talk crowdfunding. We talk about how to actually raise money from the crowd, how to get funding, how to get a fully funded campaign. And we cover this for a lot of different types of people that are trying to do Kickstarter campaigns, Indiegogo campaigns, e-commerce style projects, people that are also doing things that are of a nonprofit or charitable nature. Lastly, I've been covering a lot when it comes to WeFunder. I think I'm actually the only person in the entire world that is covering this. When it comes to equity crowdfunding. You can check this out on my YouTube channel. You can check this out on the other podcast episodes I did. Literally, WeFunder campaign creators that are raising millions of dollars online using equity crowdfunding. And I am the only person, I'm telling you, that's actually covering this major phenomenon, or how some of these other platforms like Seed Invest are being acquired by some of the other bigger players, including other platforms like Seeders. This is a very exciting time. So I've also been doing lots of coaching calls, and I've been getting this recurring question, which is like, Sal, I love how you're covering the equity crowdfunding industry. Could you also talk about alternative ways of raising capital, maybe in a more traditional sense? So with equity crowdfunding, most people are usually raising money under what's called regulation crowdfunding, where they can raise capital, raise startup capital from people that are accredited and non-accredited investors. So these are like ordinary everyday citizens. The big difference here between doing this kind of a raise and something like Kickstarter, Indiegogo is that with Kickstarter, Indiegogo, you're kind of pre-selling the product and you're not having to give away any equity, which is great. When it comes to WeFunder, Start Engine, those kinds of platforms, Republic, you are raising capital and you're also giving away a percentage of equity. And that maybe allows you to raise more with having fewer investors. However, you are also giving away a percentage of equity to raise that startup capital. Today, I spoke with the founder of PropelX, which is another style of investment crowdfunding platform. So this platform is really geared towards angel investors. It's an angel investment platform. And it's really trying to help angel investors, institutional investors, big name, big whale kind of investors connect with startup companies. And they're trying to do that online through this portal, which they've developed, this marketplace. So today, we're going to be talking a lot more about basically what are called private placement offerings. Okay. I know this can be very complicated and we're throwing around a lot of fancy finance terms, but I'm going to do my best to bring my A game to really deconstruct this, make this simple for you, so that way you can understand this other way of raising capital and this other way of actually getting funding when it comes to your business. So one other quick thing I have before we get into today's interview, where we talk with the founder of PropelX, is that if you're interested in getting access to some of these cutting edge news announcements, understanding the tools, the tactics, the strategy, everything that goes into a successful crowdfunding campaign, some of those killer crowdfunding tips and resources, go and check out my Killer Crowdfunding Tips newsletter, where I share weekly new advice, new tips, new blog articles I've written, podcasts that I'm putting out there, new content that I'm coming up with every single week. I share that with you, and you're the first one to get access, to get your hands on those resources, so that way you can implement it and you can raise capital in a much faster way. So if you're interested, go and check that out at crowdcrux.com/newsletter. That link is crowdcrux.com/newsletter, crowdcrux.com/newsletter will take you there, and you can enter your name and email to hop on my weekly newsletter. That being said, let's dive right into this episode and discover more about PropelX, this crowdfunding website, and hear a little bit about advice and tips from a fellow startup founder. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we have a really interesting interview with a platform which has been growing a lot and I think plays a lot into the equity crowdfunding game, which we've been talking about on this show before. We have Swati here, who is the founder of this company, PropelX, and she's come on to talk about investment capital, investing in alternative investments, equity crowdfunding, you name it. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Swati, and welcome.
Thank you, Salvador. Very nice to be here. It's a pleasure.
Definitely. So I'd love if we can get started. Maybe you can just tell the listeners a bit about your site and who it's for.
Yes, absolutely. So PropelX is an alternatives investment platform. We've evolved from being a startups investment platform to being more of a broad-based alternatives platform. Today, we enable accredited investors worldwide to invest in three types of alternatives: investments in startups, in venture funds managed by us, and in hedge funds managed by other people.
Very cool.
So the site really is for accredited investors and, of course, the issuers that I just mentioned.
And how long have you guys been in operation?
So we've been in operation for a while, but I would say that the real journey begins from when we actually got licensed as a broker dealer, which was in 2018. We've done over 100 deals. More than 33 million has been invested through the platform and into a wide number of asset classes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And for you, what made you actually want to get started in kind of creating this marketplace or this platform? Why did you decide to do that?
Yeah. So origin story. Let me get into that. It's a little bit different from how other platforms may have started. So let me start a little bit with my own background. So prior to doing this, I was an investor. So I came to the United States for my graduate studies, went to Berkeley and MIT, became a management consultant, went back to Sloan, MIT Sloan, to get my MBA full time. Did that and started in investing. So I started at Temasek, which is a sovereign fund of Singapore. Then I worked at Siemens Venture Capital, worked at a private equity firm here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and discovered my passion for startups. But really, my passion is more around how technology has the potential to impact the trajectory of humankind. So that was my original passion. I have a science and technology background, of course, and therefore it makes sense. I visited various angel groups at that time. This was a long time back, 2013. Visited lots of angel groups wanting to be an angel investor myself. Didn't find anything very compelling because everyone was doing social, local, mobile. And while that does solve our immediate problems, it doesn't impact the world, right? It doesn't solve some of the world's greatest challenges. So I founded MIT Angels Group. And I started using the term deep technology, which at that time everybody needed an explanation. Deep tech, what does it even mean? I wrote one of the original essays on this subject on LinkedIn at that time. And since then, the term gained popularity and has become a global phenomenon. That's awesome. And MIT Angels grew. So I focused the group on deep tech startups. Initially, we were sourcing startups mainly from MIT, Stanford, Berkeley, handful of other institutions. And then we started expanding our reach. And what I learned was these kinds of companies have the potential to become the Teslas of the world, right? But they find it so hard to raise financing, especially in their earliest days. And Tesla, in fact, is a case in point, which had to be funded by Elon Musk for the longest time before they were able to get investor capital. And the government, by the way, right? So I launched PropelX as a way originally to connect deep tech startups with investors. Since then, we've evolved and we become more of an alternatives platform for various reasons, but we can go into those later. But that is the origin story, is that we originally started as a way to connect deep tech startups with investors.
I think a lot of people who have your background might take a corporate cushy job, right? And really just be either in management consulting or be in finance or tech or something like that. Why did you really want to go out on your own and create this company from nothing?
Yeah, I think entrepreneurs have this urge within them to not be comfortable. I suspect I was in a corporate cushion. Well, it wasn't exactly corporate, but I was in a fund making lots of money. Being an angel investor would have been an easy thing to do. But yeah, I think most entrepreneurs have this desire to solve problems, to fix what they see isn't quite right, to correct balance when it is skewed. I do believe it is something that is within you that forces you or compels you to take the path that is not traditionally been taken. And that is me, What can I say?
So you decide one day to go out there and kind of create this platform, right? Which links up investors and startups. And you've been doing that now for a while. Has it always been a really upward surge kind of a track? Or did you also have some peaks and valleys when it comes to that journey?
Oh my God, it is lots of valleys. I mean, the concept of a peak implicitly suggests valleys, right? Peaks and valleys are always combined. So there have been peaks, there have been valleys. I think when we started, it was an upward surge. We were early onto the game. There were things that happened which resulted in valleys, lots of valleys, more valleys after that, and then peaks. So it has not been smooth sailing at all. It has not been what is called,
Easy.
an
Yeah.
immediate function. Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
But it has been exciting. It's been a roller coaster journey, and it's been very exciting, very rewarding.
Yeah, I can imagine as well that that desire to solve problems or the desire to help out, right, and to create solutions. I'm sure that's kind of kept you going, right, throughout some of those experiences. So one question I had for you is, for people in the audience that kind of hear, oh, okay, so this is a way that people can invest in companies, but also raise capital. For the people that are raising capital, what are the types of companies that you're typically working with?
So on the early stage, so we invest or we onboard companies in early and growth stages, also late stages, and we source those companies in different ways. So early we define as seed and Series A. We will rarely do seed. So Series A is okay. On some rare occasions, we do seed.
Mm-hmm.
So the way we do seed and Series A is we get a lot of inbound referrals. So there is a way to apply on the PropelX platform. Absolutely go ahead and do so. But the best way to connect, because we get so many applications, hundreds of them, the better way to do it is to connect with a VC or an angel investor or an angel group, who then connects you to us.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it's really because of the quantity of applications we get, and because our subsidiary Hubble Investments is regulated as a broker dealer. Therefore, we are obligated to conduct due diligence on every opportunity that closes.
Mm-hmm.
So we do curate. We are highly curated. Unlike other platforms, we are highly curated, and we like to work with other VCs. And the reason for that simply is to have multiple layers of due diligence, right? After all, we want our users, people who are investing, to make money on these opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not GoFundMe. Uh, it is an investment website. And therefore, the best way to connect if you're raising seed or Series A is through another investor that you're already working with.
Got it.
But by all means, go ahead and do apply. The only thing is, it takes a few days for us to get back to you if you are applied through the website. We also source investment opportunities in Series B and later, and that we do again alongside our venture capital partners. We have a big network of VC partners, especially early stage VCs, who we invest alongside, like I just mentioned in the earlier stages. But oftentimes they invest in companies that go on to do really well in the Series B or Series C, and they have big pro rata. Well, we would like to, if you can't fill your pro rata, give it to us. We will fill the pro rata and share half of the carried interest with you. So in this format, we work with a lot of VCs who share their pro rata with us, and we are pretty selective. So we select the companies that are doing really well, put them on the platform. And the biggest thing is we give our users the opportunity to invest in a Series B or Series C alongside a top VC, right? So my goal is to help people invest in some of the best quality opportunities, in our opinion, alongside what are top tier VCs. Um, so that's how we get growth, growth startups, growth stage startups, and then we also do hedge funds, where we have our again our own sourcing networks. And so on hedge funds, write to me if you're a hedge fund manager. Write to me. We do need a minimum of a 3-year track record. Um, Please write at info@PropelX or investors@PropelX or startups@PropelX. Just send us your. We do need a 3-year track record. And what is interesting is that there are international hedge funds that are keen to get exposure to the American markets and American investors. That's of great interest to us. So if you're a hedge fund, please write to us.
Okay. So my question was, when it comes to the Series A, what deal size typically are we talking about here?
So deal size can be anything. At this point, companies are raising Series A's anything from 5 million to, there's no upper limit, it seems. People have raised seed of 150, 200 million. So I think 5 million for a Series A is the minimum. What we would want, we typically do about a half million in a Series A. Half million to 750K would be our Series A check size. And the way we do it is we enable people either to invest direct or into a syndicate. So if you're writing a big check like 200K, you appear directly on the cap table of the issuer. We allow you to do that through our website. And if you're writing a small check, we accept as little as $5,000. You go into the syndicate. Syndicates are managed in-house by us. So there's great accuracy and timeliness to our tax prep, for example.
Got it. Got it. So when it comes to your platform, what are the benefits of participating in that kind of a marketplace dynamic versus going out and maybe finding these investments on your own or raising capital on your own? Why do it on your platform?
So let's talk about the investors first, right? What are the benefits for an investor to use something like PropelX? Well, the number one benefit is that our subsidiary is a broker dealer. We are regulated. We are highly scrutinized. We cannot make exaggerated statements. We cannot put out things which have not been reviewed and corrected by our team and our compliance. Everything we do is filed with FINRA. So there are certain investor protections. All broker dealers are regulated by something which is called regulation best interest. It means that we are obligated to put the best interest of our users ahead of our own, right? So it is beneficial to work with a broker dealer. There are lots of investor protections, including the fact that we use escrows. You can pull out till the last minute, all kinds of things. So that's one big benefit, is to work with a broker dealer. The second big benefit is we are highly curated. So what you will find is not like 200,000 startups where you have to sort through them, but a curated list of high quality companies, in our opinion, where we are working alongside top VCs. So it is curated. It's a great opportunity. The third is that it is a multi-asset platform. So if you want to invest in a hedge fund and in a startup, you can, and in a venture fund, you can do all three through us in one place. And finally, small minimums, right? I know it's not $100 minimum, but it is the difference between a Filene's Basement and a Nordstrom or a Neiman Marcus. That's the difference. So it is a $5,000 minimum. We are obligated to conduct due diligence before we kind of close this opportunity. So you have to believe that that is valuable.
If you're worried about the fulfillment and shipping part of your Kickstarter campaign when it comes to getting out all those perks and rewards to your backers, rest assured I've put together a complete Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist for you, and it's free. This is sponsored by the folks at FulfillRight, and they thought that you should have this checklist as part of your arsenal going into a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to get instant access to this checklist and it's free, you can go to fulfillright.com/checklist. Again, that is fulfillrite.com/checklist, fulfillright.com/checklist. Just go to that link and you can download it immediately. When it comes to different sectors, I mean, we're talking about like other platforms like WeFunder, Start Engine, Microventures, Republic.co, like some of the other guys in Reg CF and Reg A Plus. There a lot of them are focused on software, right? Software companies. Do you have a particular specialty when it comes to the types of companies on your platform?
Yeah. Yes. This is what I would say historically and even now continues to differentiate us from everyone else. We were the only deep tech platform, not even the first, the only deep tech platform, because you need to understand technology. And that's the background of our team. We come from MIT, Harvard, Carnegie Mellon, Cornell, this and that, where we understand technology. So the sectors that we operate in, certainly we do software also, but it really needs to be differentiated. We won't do some kind of a workflow management software that's run of the mill. And everyone starts like lots of people start companies on a daily basis. To get to PropelX, you need to cross many hurdles and certainly have a technology differentiation. But we do everything so life science is a big sector for us. We've done devices, diagnostics, therapeutics. In fact, we started the platform with a drug company, which is, fingers crossed, doing well now, very well now. So we do life sciences. That's a big sector for us. Energy and green technologies. So everything from new battery technologies to recycling to transportation, new types of fuels, very much hardware plus software focused. We do aerospace, We're one of the few platforms that actually do aerospace and understand what it means. Everything from satellite technologies to starting from CubeSats all the way up to other things, to propelling technologies, aircraft, all kinds of things. Um, so if you're really looking for technology, come to PropelX. That really differentiates us.
Got it. Got it. And when you're doing these raises, are these regulation A plus, are these Reg D? What kind of regulation are you using when you're raising money?
Reg D, 506B for the most part. We are open to 506C as well.
Got it. Interesting. So you've been able to then have over, I think you said 100 deals or thereabouts, like 100 million, right? Which you've raised on the
100
platform.
plus deals. Yeah, 100 plus deals is what we have done. 33 million plus through in terms of investment amounts.
In terms of what you see as working to really get people excited about an opportunity or to participate in an investment, what are like one or two high level tips you would give for people that are looking to raise capital? Is it the vision? Is it the technology, as you said? What do you really think gets an investor's appetite?
Oh, the technology is just a means to solving the problem, right? It is the vision. What gets people excited is to see a big problem, which basically translates into a big market that needs a solution. So, big market sizes, in our experience, what gets people excited is a big market size, and preferably, some kind of unique solution to it, which could be through your technology, a unique technology, for example. Yes, that gets people excited. Um, what also helps people succeed on platforms, certainly on PropelX, is nobody likes to be the first money in, right? So people on PropelX, our users are extremely savvy, extremely savvy. They understand very quickly, oh, if you haven't raised any money from anywhere else, well, I'm not going to put the first money in. That's who they are, right? So what helps you succeed, not just having the vision, the ability to present and be charismatic, the ability to actually have a business that is going to succeed because you have some proprietary technology or you've made great traction or what have you, but also that you've actually raised some money from elsewhere. And sometimes we help people offline as well. If we really take to a company, um, we like the company, you don't have a lead investor, okay, we'll work with you offline to get you that lead. But that is rare. That is rare because it is time consuming. And after all, the purpose of a platform is to be scalable.
When
But
when
those are
someone's
the things.
doing Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. When someone's doing a raise on your site, and you mentioned that point of you need to kind of like prime the pump, right, in order to get people excited. What percentage of people would you say you bring to a round versus the entrepreneur will network and bring that round themselves?
Percentage of people. So on PropelX, when you come to PropelX, you will bring zero people most likely. Um, we will bring the people. That's our job. So yes, that's another key differentiator, by the way, for issuers. I know that on crowdfunding platforms, you list your site, then you go to Facebook, you advertise, and people come and click the invest button. On PropelX, none of that. We have our investor base, and the whole point is that we make it easy for you. You don't have to bring investors. You just have to supply us the materials. We do the job. Think of us as an investment bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit different in that you may already have investors that are wanting to invest 5,000, 10,000, and it's too small of a check for you to take separately. Okay, then certainly direct them to us. We are happy to accommodate them, and we will waive the fees on that. But yeah, I guess
Okay.
that
Yeah,
is
I
simply not
understand. Yeah, no, I definitely think that answers the question. You guys are much more focused on actually bringing the investors and helping the founder. It sounds like make the process easier, right?
Yes,
When it comes to
exactly.
raising money. What are some of the trends that you're noticing right now when it comes to equity crowdfunding and this niche which you're in? So, like for example, I've been noticing a lot when it comes to regulation crowdfunding, but it sounds like you guys are kind of using different regulations there. Are there any major trends that you notice in online investing or for startup founders that you want to talk about?
So, firstly, we are an alternatives platform. That is not exactly a niche. That is actually the universe. And I would say crowdfunding or startup investing is one part of it. If you look at alternatives, right? there are certain several, you can break it up into segments. You can say there's startups, venture capital, private equity, real estate, hedge funds. Those are the biggest segments, right? And then, of course, there's the whole other things of crypto and fine art and jewelry and whatnot. So within that, I want to educate the audience a little bit. The smallest segment is startups, right? Which gets about 100 billion in money flowing into them, like I would say last year, for example, in the US. Followed by venture capital, because venture capital funds tend to raise more occasionally but net they will deploy what they raise. So that's another 100 billion. When it comes to hedge funds, private equity funds, real estate, of course, is the biggest segment. But those are like more like an order of magnitude bigger, maybe, or at minimum 5x bigger areas. So if you look at the alternatives landscape very broadly, it is quite big. It is very big. So within that, let's say what are the trends that we are seeing? And you were asking me very specifically about startups and equity crowdfunding. So let me come down to that now. To be honest, we have always differentiated ourselves, because we are not part of that equity crowdfunding landscape. We are not a Reg CF platform. We don't do many of the things that they do. For example, this go advertise on Facebook and bring me investors. That's not our thing at all. We are very curated. So it's more of a higher end platform. And the biggest difference is you will see in our numbers, the average investor invests a lot, right? The average investor last year invested about $73,000 through the platform per investing user. It's probably an order of magnitude, if not more, higher than what they would do on other platforms. So it is a different kind of platform meant for, I would say, I don't know, higher end user. I don't know. I don't even want to.
I can understand that.
More select, more select, and much more curated. So if you ask me, I think when you come to platforms, you have to look at what has succeeded in other industries. In almost every marketplace, curation is what succeeds in the long run. Curation is what, including at Amazon, for example.
When it comes to your career, it sounds like you've had a really successful career with understanding how to network people who are higher net worth, right, with these opportunities in order to have someone write like a 70K check, right, or bigger check. What have you learned, you think, for people out there that do want to kind of get access to some of these angel investor networks or VCs? What advice do you usually give to people who want to maybe participate on your platform, but they don't know how to go out there and reach out to VCs and angel networks? What are your thoughts on that?
For founders?
Yep. For the founders, yep, in the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is something that is important for founders. It becomes very difficult to sustain and become big purely on crowdfunding, right? And also it leads to all kinds of frothiness. I have found some ridiculous valuations out there on some crowdfunding platforms with no track record. And to be honest, I worry that it really does not help the investors. If you don't have a track record, you're raising money, losing them money, it doesn't help the industry as a whole. You really do need to have a legitimate business. And so coming back to this, how you don't know how to go network with a VC, well, please start with your LinkedIn. Start building your LinkedIn profile, right? And reach out to people who you think would be useful to you. Go and attend investor events or startup events or any events, because meet people. Networking, business development is about networking. You have to put yourself out there at events on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the main channel, right? And people message me. I get over 100 plus messages every day, and I respond to many of them. So people do respond on LinkedIn. Many times I will say, sorry, this is not of interest, but sometimes it will be of interest. Now, one thing that please don't write to me, for example, or to any other investor. Hello, this is my first message to you. You might be interested in my fundraise because we are building the world's greatest company. Not helpful, not interested. We get many such messages. What is helpful is just kind of establish contact, say hello, start posting, build content, put put your word out there, not just networking is one part of it, but start talking about what you're building. Put content out there, whether it is on Medium, on Twitter, on what have you. Build a profile. Once you build a profile, then people get interested in you, right? So you have to make things happen, and the way to do this is build your network on LinkedIn, build your network on offline events, start putting content about what you're doing out there so that people find it interesting, and give something to people to learn so that they come to you. It's called inbound marketing, right?
Mm,
That's an art.
yeah, I think that's really
And
smart.
then tell me, if you've been connected for 6 months or so on, uh, we are such and such company, would it be of interest? We may say yes. So especially if it is deep technology, most often we say, hey, please connect with us on such and such forum, or on my email at this, send me your pitch deck here. If it is deep technology, then it of course is of interest to me. On other platforms, it may be their specialty, right? You can write to them about things that they're interested in, and they will say, yes, send it to me. So it's
Have you
really
ever?
about,
Hmm. You can keep going. Sorry about that.
no, it's really about taking the time to build relationships, whether offline or online.
Have you ever done any studies on founders within your network in terms of things that make them successful? So, for example, there's so many things you can look at. Like you can look at traction, you can look at how quickly someone's growing, right, with their company. You could look at the founder and their history and their education. You could look at the technology that they've built. What do you feel like of all of these lists, of these different kinds of variables, are the most important to make a successful investment, or that you typically see of a founder who's successful?
So first and foremost, I want to share some stats. We see all kinds of founders that have succeeded, including on PropelX. Almost. So this was a study we did a while back, actually, maybe 2020. And what we found was over 40% of the founders that successfully fundraised on PropelX platform are minorities. More than 20% were women. And 20% of the startups that raised funding on PropelX were women. So it is a pretty, what I like about platforms, and maybe this is a generalization, but I feel like platforms can be maybe more of an equalizer, right?
Mm,
Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I do think, personally, I feel, and this is not a study that we have done, but anecdotally and personally, what I think is helpful or gives more confidence is if it's a repeat founder, number one thing, and if you have customer traction, number two thing. The rest is all, in early stage numbers and growth rates and so on. Sometimes you need to look past those because sometimes they're smoke and mirrors.
mhm.
But these are realities. If you have customer traction and you can show evidence of that, revenues, if you have done this before, you've had exits, those are tangible things you can point to.
Got it. So my final question for you here, and then we can talk about where people can go and check you out. Would be my final question is when it comes to the habits or the makeups of a successful founder, what are some of the traits or characteristics that you usually will attribute to them?
Wow, this is really subjective, right? This is really subjective, but I think persistence is the number one thing. And so that's the number one thing. And responsiveness, um, respect for all types of capital, right? So we've seen such some very successful founders who still take my calls. I'm like, we gave you like some small amount of money. Now
Mm,
you're a unicorn, and but they're still very responsive, respectful for all capital sources. Yeah, persistent, very persistent, and know what they want. Vision.
love it. Very cool. Very cool. Where can people go to learn more about your platform, whether they're an investor or a founder? Where can they go to learn more?
Please come to propelx.com, propelx.com. Follow me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my platform. I'm not so much on Twitter, but follow me on Twitter also. Um, Drop me a note. If you're in deep technology, it's of personal interest to me, so I often respond.
Got it. Thank you so much. I'll be sure to link that up in the show notes as well. Final question is, and we can end on this note, if you can speak directly to the audience and you can end on either a quote that you like, it could be some advice that someone else has given you in your career. It could be something that you'd like to pass on in terms of a word of encouragement for someone out there who is a founder, anything along those lines, and we can end on that note.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for founders, I would say you are the person in the arena and you know what you want. So persist. Eventually, I think everything is a numbers game. You put yourself out there, you will succeed. You put yourself out there enough number of times, you will eventually succeed. So please keep at it. I love all entrepreneurs and founders. I know how hard of a journey it is. I've been through those peaks and valleys. But please keep at it. Don't lose your smile and your charisma, because that's what is going to get you through all of this. And I'd love to hear from you.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And look forward to learning more about your site.
Thank you so much, Salvador. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Again, my name is Salvador Briggman. Thank you for spending a little bit of time here with me this week. And hopefully you took away a couple of action items, a couple of lessons, a couple of things when it comes to actually understanding a bigger raise from investors, angel investors specifically, and also institutional investors, and a way in which you can do that online. So this is for people, obviously, that are a little bit more serious when it comes to their company and much bigger sites in that mind. Not everyone has that kind of an aspiration. So I talk with a lot of different types of what I call inventors, entrepreneurs, creative types, creators, artists. There's a very large array of people in my community, both on kickstarterforum.org, in my Facebook group, which has thousands of members, my LinkedIn groups. We have a lot of people, right? Or my insider Smash Your Kickstarter Goal community. We have a lot of people from many different diverse backgrounds, different diverse ages, in different areas of the world as well. And I would say that one hallmark is that every single person that joins those communities wants to accomplish something faster. They really want to get past just the nuts and bolts and really understand the exact mechanics that go into a powerful campaign raise. And they want to learn how to go on the fast track, right? Maybe be introduced to other people in the industry, resources that they didn't even know about, get feedback, right? Have a critique when it comes to the resources that they're putting together already for their particular campaign. And get even some basic questions answered. If you're just kind of fed up and frustrated and you actually value your time, you're ready to invest in yourself, you're ready to invest in your actual project, in your company, I think that this is one of the best possible investments which you can make, because not only does it speed up your time, do you get an expert trained eye looking over this, but in any other area of your life, whether you're going out there and you're hiring a lawyer, or you're going out there and you're trying to, hire a doctor or have someone look over something for you, you're always going after and you're seeking out experts. And that's exactly what a startup founder is designed to do, is to find those experts. So when it comes to this, if you want to get more information, access, understanding of how to do a powerful crowdfunding campaign launch, I do make myself available on a one-on-one basis when it comes to intensive coaching calls. So I'm going to mention a link right now. You can write this down, or if you're driving, definitely don't try to write this down, man. But do just remember this, and I'll try to repeat it once or twice. But wherever you are in the world, I think this is going to be extremely useful for you when it comes to getting your project launched. So go to this link at crowdcrux.com/coaching. That link is crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. If you're interested in learning more and booking a one-on-one individual coaching call with me, you can do it at that link. Tell me a little bit about you, what you're trying to accomplish, what you want to do when it comes to your project, how you see yourself as well in the future. If you're doing this for the validation, for the pre-orders, for the feedback, for the massive potential media writing about you and really growing a brand, let me know what some of your objectives are, and we can get that call scheduled ASAP. And I do help occasionally on a one-on-one basis as well with particular coaching students. If I really believe in their project, I think they have a really good product or something that they are trying to raise funds for. So that being said, thank you so much for listening to today's podcast episode. I really appreciate you as a listener on a weekly basis. I hope that every single week you're making progress towards your goals. You're learning actionable items that can push you faster towards these things that you're trying to achieve. And lastly, that you are also showing up, you are hustling, you're putting in some time after work or on the weekend, or if this is your full-time focus as well, every single day, making progress towards your goals, that makes me so happy. And if you do feel like this podcast is helping you in any sort of way, please leave a positive rating and review on iTunes. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Salvador, and I will see you next time.